Welcome to Shadow Self 101. If you are part of the premium or VIP member in the Genesis Institute, this mini course is built specifically for you. As you all know, I'm Genesis Lee, and this month we have been talking about the best and highest self. And I want to be very clear about something before we go any further. You cannot fully access your higher self while half of you is still hidden. And that's where we start speaking about the shadow. This title, this concept comes from Carl Jung, psychoanalyst and psychiatrist, Swiss psychiatrist. Okay. Carl Jung is who first called it the shadow. And by the time you finish this course, you are going to understand exactly what it is, where it comes from, and how it has been running your life without your permission. And yes, much of this is based off of Jung's work. Okay. Most importantly, I want you to give yourself permission to open up and explore the shadow self. And I don't mean the shadow self that you hear on social media where people make this a trend thing, okay? Because there's real backing behind this. There's real psychoanalytical concepts and studies behind the shadow self, okay? This isn't just a trend that we picked up off of TikTok, okay? And I want you to accept it as bigger than that and go deep with this, okay? I have some supporting resources for you at the end of this mini course, but I just wanted to make this mini course so we could just take a pause and break this down in simple but understandable terms. Let's begin. Let me start by telling you what the shadow is not. It is not evil. It is not demonic. It is not the worst parts of you that need to be destroyed. That is not what we are talking about here. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychologist who spent his entire career mapping the interior of the human being, defined the shadow as everything you were told was unacceptable. Everything about you, your anger, your grief, your desire, your neediness, your sensitivities, your ambition, the wild child in you, and even your softness. Whatever got the wrong reaction from the people whose approval you needed early in life, whatever that was that got pushed down. And here is the part that changes everything. What you push down does not disappear. You have learned this by now. It does not go away just because you stopped acknowledging it. It goes underground. And from underground, it runs you in ways you cannot see because you cannot look directly at what you have hidden from yourself. The shadow is not your enemy, but it is absolutely running your life until you decide to look at it. You were not born guarded, and I need you to really sit with that for a moment. You were not born hypervigilant. You were not born expecting things to go wrong or waiting for people to leave or bracing yourself every time something good starts to happen. If you look at a small child who has not yet learned that the world is unpredictable, you can see that they feel everything openly. They want things without apologizing for wanting them. They express who they are without editing themselves first. Then something happens. Maybe it was one significant moment. Maybe it was 1,000 small ones accumulated over years. Maybe you were too loud and somebody important to you, somebody that you love, made you feel like that was a problem. Maybe you were too emotional and you learned that emotions made people uncomfortable. Maybe you needed something and the need went unmet so many times that you eventually stopped acknowledging the need at all. Your nervous system, which is always trying to keep you safe, made a decision on your behalf. It decided that certain parts of you were not safe to show, and it tucked it away. And that tucking away is where your shadow started. And the shadow was not a failure. It was the most intelligent thing your system knew how to do at that time. It protected you. The problem is that protection became your prison. This is the slide that I want you to pay the most attention to because this is where it gets personal. The shadow does not announce itself. It does not tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, I am your unprocessed pain running this situation. It is much more subtle than that. It does show up though, and it shows up as patterns. The patterns that show up in the spaces of how you keep attracting the same kind of relationship, even though the person looks different every time. That is your shadow choosing what is familiar over what is healthy. You work incredibly hard, and the moment success starts to arrive, you find a way to slow down or self sabotage or talk yourself out of it. That is your shadow protecting you from visibility. It learned that that was dangerous. You give generously to everyone around you, but you cannot receive without feeling uncomfortable or unworthy. That is your shadow holding the belief that you do not deserve what you give so freely to others. You are more comfortable in crisis mode than in peace. And when things are calm, something in you gets nervous and starts looking for a problem to solve. That is a nervous system that was calibrated to survive, not to rest. Okay. And perhaps the most important one, you call a traumatized pattern your intuition. I see it all the time. Not everything that feels like a warning is wisdom. Sometimes what feels like a red flag is actually your shadow reacting to something that reminds it of an old wound. And you need to learn to tell the difference. And that is a part of this work. I want to talk to the part of you that is thinking that you can just leave this alone, that you have gotten this far without looking at it and you can just keep on going. I understand that impulse. I truly, truly do. Looking at the shadow is uncomfortable. It's supposed to be uncomfortable. But here's what I need you to understand. The shadow does not get quieter the longer you ignore it. It gets louder and it doesn't shrink. Just because you look away does not mean it goes away. It grows. It actually gets stronger and it expresses itself whether you give it permission to or not. It's going to come out in your reactions. It's going to come out in the words that you didn't mean to say that even shock you sometimes. Or when you start crying, just unexpectedly in conversation, even in your anger. It comes out in those walls that go up automatically before you even make a conscious decision to protect yourself. You cannot use affirmations to get past your shadow. I'm sorry, but a morning routine and a gratitude journal is not going to dissolve something that lives this deep inside of you. I don't care how many vision boards you make, you cannot get rid of it. The shadow moves faster than your conscious thought. By the time you've decided how you want to respond, the shadow has already responded for you. And ignoring it does not give you peace. Stop lying to yourself about that. It just means the shadow has more control over your life than you actually know. If this resonated with you, then I need you to hear this next part carefully because what you just watched was only half of the Shadow Self 101 course. The full course is waiting for you inside the Genesis Institute on School, and it goes much deeper than what I was able to share here. We cover exactly how to begin working with your shadow, the integration process, and the shadow dialogue exercise, which is honestly the most powerful piece of this entire course. You definitely do not want to miss it. And when you join, you also get access to the Shadow Self Activity Workbook. It is a full downloadable PDF that walks you through everything step by step so you can do this work privately at your own pace. But that is just the beginning of what is inside the community. The Genesis Institute is a structured spiritual learning community where we go deep on spiritual gifts, ancient wisdom, metaphysics, herbalism, and what it actually means to live from your highest self, not the social media version, but the real thing. Every month, you get access to new courses, live coaching sessions where you can bring your real questions and get real answers, a supportive community of people who are serious about their spiritual development, and content that you genuinely will not find anywhere else. And the general membership is only $9 a month. $9 to stop scrolling and start going somewhere. If you are ready to do the real work, the link to join the Genesis Institute is in the description below. Come watch the rest of this course. Come meet the community and come find out exactly what your spirit has been trying to show you. I'll see you on the inside.